Hi, I'm Michelle the Irritable Vegan. I'm here to share my vegan low FODMAP story and hopefully take some of the BS out of IBS. Today I'd like to talk about water and the low FODMAP diet. Now, it's no secret that we should all be watching our water intake on a daily basis, but did you know that your water requirements are likely to increase when you're on the low FODMAP diet? Let's get into it. So if you're anything like me, struggling to get your 8 glasses in at the best of times, initially the idea of increasing your water intake can seem really daunting. But don't worry, once you've heard the very compelling reasons for increasing your intake, you'll be reaching for that 8th glass in no time. So let's start with the basics. Why do we even need water? Well, it's estimated that 55% of a female and 60% of a male's body is composed entirely of water. Now, this water is distributed between and throughout every cell and organ in the body, with different organs requiring different levels of moisture. Our entire digestive system from start to finish requires litres of adequate water every day just to function. From the saliva in our mouth, which is mostly water, to the way that the nutrients are carried throughout the body from the food that we eat, and finally to the passage of waste. So I know exactly what you're thinking. Thanks for the biology lesson, but how does any of this relate to IBS sufferers? Basically, you can follow the low FODMAP diet to the letter, take every IBS medication and remedy on the market, and completely eliminate stress from your life. But if you're not fully hydrated, your digestion and your IBS are still going to suffer. So to begin with, many people with IBS limit their fluid intake when they're feeling uncomfortably bloated. Now, unfortunately, along with digestive bloat, dehydration itself causes bloating due to the body trying to retain vital fluids, and this bloating then becomes a vicious cycle. As much as it goes against all your instincts to pour extra fluid into an already bloated tummy, ensuring that you're properly hydrated throughout the day is a fantastic way to reduce bloating overall. A major benefit of staying hydrated is reducing constipation. Now, if you're type IBS-C, this is not going to have an immediate miraculous effect. But for the rest of us, the reduction in dietary fibre, which is an unfortunate temporary side effect of the low FODMAP diet, can cause some constipation, particularly in the early stages of the elimination phase. Elimination phase, no pun intended. Keeping up optimum fluid levels at this stage not only assists the dietary fibre that we are diligently eating to pass through our systems more efficiently, but helps to speed up digestion and elimination on the whole. Now, something that may not seem as significant, but it can have huge positive effects on your experience of the low FODMAP diet, is that drinking more water can help us to feel fuller for longer. It's no secret that the meal portions on a low FODMAP diet are often much smaller than most of us are used to. But drinking water throughout the day, and particularly 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after a meal, can really help reduce the signals of thirst, which a lot of the times we interpret as hunger. This then reduces the risk of us overeating at meal times or reaching for a high FODMAP snack when what our body's actually craving is water. And if you know you're on top of your water intake, when you do start to feel that familiar pang in your stomach, you can recognise it as true hunger. And telling the difference between thirst and hunger is a seriously underrated skill that can help you long term with both your health and weight management. As we've already mentioned, every cell in our body needs an abundant supply of water to be able to do its job properly. From the movement of blood and nutrients to the conduction of nerve signals and forming protective barriers around the organs and joints. Dehydration can have major consequences on how our body feels and functions on a day-to-day basis. Many IBS sufferers are all too familiar with the non-digestive symptoms of IBS, from headaches, brain fog and fatigue, to chronic joint pains, backaches and palpitations. Now, I'm not suggesting for a minute that reaching for an extra glass of water is magically going to relieve everything you're experiencing, But I do think it's really important to acknowledge that there are some significant overlaps between the non-digestive symptoms of IBS and the effects of dehydration on the body. There's no easier way to be sure that you're doing your utmost to keep your body functioning at its best than to make sure you're drinking adequate water. And then, as long as you know that you've got this covered, any lingering symptoms you can be certain are caused by your IBS and tackle them accordingly. And finally, upping your drinking water is essential for replacing lost fluids. Now, these fluids can be lost both by limiting or restricting certain foods and drinks during the elimination phase of the diet, and also by the sudden and dramatic loss of fluid from the body during cases of diarrhoea, which can often flare up during your reintroduction or challenge phase. Now, as somebody that doesn't particularly enjoy the taste of plain water, I am incredibly guilty of this. Rewind 2 years ago when I gave up caffeine, and I felt utterly horrendous for the first few weeks. And it wasn't until somebody quite innocently asked me what I'd replaced my usual 6 cups of coffee with that I realised I hadn't really replaced them with anything. Now, as stupid as this sounds, because I drank coffee for pleasure and I didn't particularly enjoy drinking anything else as much as a cup of coffee, it never really occurred to me that I still needed to replace those vital lost fluids. No wonder I felt horrendous. Not only was I suffering caffeine and sugar withdrawal, but I was seriously dehydrated. Now, this particularly applies to anybody used to having regular high FODMAP drinks. As we're all too aware, fruit juices, smoothies, flavoured milks, fizzy pop, energy drinks and even chamomile tea are all restricted on the low FODMAP diet during the elimination phase. Now, if the bulk of your fluid intake used to be made up of these types of drinks, you need to be especially mindful of replacing each one you remove drink by drink with either water or a suitable low FODMAP alternative. And for those of you that are used to eating your water in the form of fruits, mushrooms and celery, you need to be doubly sure that you're swapping in water-rich green light foods such as lettuce, cucumber and honeydew melon. So whilst we're on the subject of replacing lost fluids, we need to make a mental note to be mindful of the fluids leaving our body just as much as we are of the fluids entering. We're all aware that water lost in the form of tears or sweat needs to be replaced, but we're less inclined to look at the liquid that's eliminated in our bowels as usable, vital water. It's highly likely that during your reintroduction or challenge phase, you may experience flare-ups which could include bouts of diarrhoea, and in these instances you need to be especially sure that you're replacing lost fluids. The effects of sudden and explosive loss of water from the body in the form of vomiting or diarrhoea can have a critical effect on your body and hydration levels, but most of us only assume that this is the case in bouts of stomach flu or food poisoning. Those of us that live with IBS-D on a daily basis, myself included, are used to minimising in our minds and to other people the effect that prolonged diarrhoea can have on the body. In reality, we're the ones that need to be especially conscious of rehydrating and replenishing day after day after day. So if today's video has whet your appetite, coming up next time I've got some super simple ways to increase your daily water intake. And if that's something you're interested in hearing about, please show your support by leaving a thumbs up. And in the comments below, let me know if you're a water sipping siren or a dehydrated desert rose. Until next time, thanks for watching. Now, for anybody that needs even more convincing, I'm going to leave a link down below to this fantastic little book, The True Power of Water by Masaru Emoto. Now, unlike most health-related things you will read about drinking water, this book focuses much more on the holistic aspects of water and how energy and even intention can influence both the quality of the water and the way it's used throughout the body. I really hope you enjoy it.